Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking, and as always, great to have you along for, I think it's episode 47, I think, this week, 46 or 47, I'm not sure. I would have thought I would have checked that, but we're up in the high 40s, getting closer than ever to the big number 50, so can't wait for that one. I'm going to bring in my co-host for this week's episode. I'm referring to Grant Tassie Brown and Nick Noonan back for another stint. How are we, guys? Give a clap there for the boys.
Good, thanks, Lyndon. Just cashing checks and breaking necks, mate. Pretty much.
What about you, Nick? What have you been up to, mate?
Mate, we're all just getting ready for Beck Hawker versus Holly Tao Saturday night. Ace Boxing presents stacked card live on channel 513 beIN Sports and KO. So all in preparation for that at Oz Boxing Central, Noonan Boy Promotions, and Ace Boxing. So
you're actually involved promotion-wise, are you, mate, or?
No, not in the promotion-wise.
Yep.
Probably more in the media side of the promotion. So we're going to do a couple of different things this weekend in terms of how the fans are going to see it in the digital world. So Noonan Boy Promotions and Oz Boxing Central will be a big part of that, and obviously other shows going forward as well.
Love it, mate. Well, we've got that on the agenda to go through on this week's cards. There's a couple of cards on this weekend, so we'll have a bit of a preview. So can't wait to hear what you got to say there. Now, Tassie, we're going to go through it a little bit later. Obviously, I was at the Hall of Fame last Friday night. I've got a little bit of to talk about with that. But your man Peter was there. He said, "Stop calling him out. You know who's the king, and he's going to be back soon to take you on."
We do know who's the king. That's fucking me. I've beaten him 50 million times. He's not in my level. He's gone off and he's gone with his bat and ball and sulking, and he can get it anytime he wants it. Anytime he wants it, mate, he can get it.
All right.
Well, how do you define who the man is when I've beaten him like 10 times to 2 this year?
Well, he said he carries the show.
Our viewers know that. Our viewers know that. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
But I'm on another level to everyone.
Well, as you guys say, it's all about levels, isn't that right, Nick?
Even Mike Hatamura can get it. Even Mike Hatamura can get it.
That's a bold statement with the Walking Encyclopedia.
I've called him out to his face.
All right, we'll see what happens there. But, guys, a lot to get through tonight. So much happening, especially in Australia at the moment. We're going to go through all the events on this weekend. We've got the Super Saturday to talk about. We've got the Hall of Fame. We've got lots of stuff anyway, and of course all the international news as well. So we'll get into it straight away. We'll start with the Aussie news for starters. So the main thing that sort of happened, was it on Monday this week, I think? It was, of course, the Boxing Festival, the Super Saturday by No Limit. It's on October 8 in Newcastle. So, Tassie, you got to give it to the No Limit boys. They keep coming up with things to keep us interested, don't they?
Yeah, they do, mate. It's very interesting. Nikita Zoo is going to spark Dryden. I wanted my boy Bo to fight Dryden. Jason Medawar box his ears off for the first round. So Nikita's going to put him to sleep. Hogan, Ennington. I think Ennington beats Hogan. And Suku versus Ferris. That's a bloody tough fight. It's another good step up by them. Sammy Goodman's a good talent. Yeah, so look, it's the No Limit boys get it done, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I'll put up the card in a sec. We'll also hear what everyone had to say. But, Nick, what I love about it is that, it's obviously, it says there, 20 fights in 10 hours. They've got the beer gardens outside. They've got the big screen TVs. They've got the live music. What a great concept to bring to boxing. I know it probably gets done in a lot of other sports around the world, but this is a fantastic concept, I think.
Well, to be honest, actually, it actually doesn't when it comes to the fight game. They're actually doing something very, very different compared to a lot of the shows in Europe and America. We'll sort of max out at 10 fights, maybe 8 fights, 9 fights. Shout out to George Rose, Matt Rose, and the team from No Limit. They're going to go 20 fights, start at about 3:30 in the afternoon, and then obviously, have a little bit of a break and then go again hard. So it's a big day of boxing. Afternoon/night. beer gardens, rappers. I've heard about DJs, all sorts of stuff. And what they're really doing there, guys, is it's sort of like two shows really in one. They're keeping their fighters active, and it's a different style of concept. I mean, I think we all should support it. You know what I mean? One thing about No Limit, I haven't been to a lot of their shows, but when they actually talk about No Limit, they actually think there is no limit to the way they want to do things. And yeah, shout out to them. I think they're one of many of the good promoters in Australia, but they definitely try and do it a little bit different. I think Nikita Zoo headlining it. Look, I don't know about that one, Tassie. Like, no offense, but I think Hogan fighting for a world title against Eggington. I know it is the IBO world title, but you know, I mean, maybe the poster can be designed a little bit different there. You know what I mean? But then again, it is the son of a former legendarian Costa Zoo, so that's the way they want to do it. Let's support it.
Tassie, do you think that...
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
You go.
I was just going to say, do you think, though, that, like it or not, Tim is the face of the promotion, regardless of who's fighting on the card?
Nikita.
Sorry, Nikita. Sorry, yeah.
Mate, look, none of these guys will be on pay-per-view if it wasn't for fucking Tim and Nikita. It's the Zoo name. It's not... If Gallen's not fighting, the Zoo's not fighting, then no one's really interested, mate. Like, Hogan, yeah, he's fighting for an IBO, Nick, but no one gives a shit, mate. It's Nikita Zoo or Tim Zoo. They're the main events, and that's the way it is, man. Like, to be honest, like, the guys on there, they're all good fighters, but no one's going to, you know, they're not going to be main event status. So it's all about, you know, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. It's like when Gallen was, Tim Zoo was under Gallen all those times, a rugby player, but it's the way it is. Like, Gallen was one selling pay-per-views back then. So, look, I don't think it matters. It's not an ego thing. You're getting on a good show, you're getting money, you're fighting for a title. I think they all should be happy that they've got a platform. Because you always need a head guy, like Choc. Choc was the man for years. Look how many guys come up on Mundine's undercards. So many. So it just is what it is, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Nick, I think looking at Dennis when he spoke on the day, I think he knows that without having the Nikita Zoo on the card, and you know that fight probably doesn't happen for him. So I think he spoke really well and understands his place.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you comment in a second, anyway, Nick. But let's hear what George Rose had to say.
On one huge day, what was the inspiration behind this?
Yeah, look, it is quite crazy, Ben. 20 fights in the one day. One thing we like to do at No Limit Boxing, we like to try new things. We like to bring excitement to the sport. And when you've got this much talent on offer here in Australia, why not put everyone on the same day? Look, it's that time of the year where the footy season's just finished up and you've got that little itch you need to scratch. And we've got the scratching for you in Newcastle on October the 8th at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. It's going to be a hell of a day. A boxing festival, fights all day, beer gardens, festival atmosphere, music. It's going to be a great day for everybody who wants to attend at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre.
Nick, they always, as I said at the start, they always do it well, but they've also picked the right day. It's just after the grand finals in AFL and NRL, and everyone's still, I suppose, on a high after that. It's fantastic scheduling, isn't it? Especially in Newcastle with the main event, which is, well, we'll call it the main event anyway. Nikita, which is at Newcastle, and then obviously Darken Dryden, who is fighting, who's a Newcastle native as well.
Exactly, and the thing is, they've gone to Newcastle. They've done some big shows yet there with Tim Zoo. Obviously, when Tim fought Hogan, his father fought there, and now they're getting really into the Zoo, the new Team Zoo, Newcastle thing, and they've won the fans over there. I had a few comments the other day. People were saying, why are they going back to Newcastle? Well, because one, they've got a great relationship with Newcastle. You know what I mean? And why not keep going to Newcastle? You know what I mean? It's great for Newcastle. It's great for New South Wales. And the boys are New South Wales boys. They're getting away from Sydney and doing it up there, and I think it's fantastic. So, mate, it's going to be an epic day of boxing. And don't get me wrong, there's about I spoke to Matt Rose the other day, there's about 9 unbelievable fights on this card, like real good cracking fights. Stay tuned for some more announcements. They haven't named the full card yet, but mate, there's going to be a few ones early in the day that could even steal the show.
Well, we're going to go through them a little bit later. We'll go through the main fights and then a few of the other ones. But we'll go through the whole card in a sec. Yeah. We've got the main fights up, but there's so many on there at the moment. We'll just run through a few of them. But before I get you to talk, Tassie, let's see what Nikita Tszyu had to say.
Down the road here against Ben Horn, it was a fantastic scrap. Tough one for you. How have you evolved, do you think, as a fighter since then?
I've had my nice little rest and recovery and feeling fresh again. And I had a wonderful learning experience in that last fight. I learned a lot about myself, facing a bit of toughness and not having things go completely my way. And it was a great thing to have early on in your career.
You're facing some toughness here in Dark and Dryden. He's 4-0 with 4 KOs, and he is a tough dude. What have you made of what you've seen of him?
Yeah, well, his record speaks for himself. He's tough, he's got the knockout power, and it's going to be a tough fight. And these are the kind of fights that I need to grow and evolve and become my best self.
He's thrown down the gauntlet there. He said that you get TKOs and he puts him to sleep.
We'll see.
Tassie, what I love about Nikita, or what he said there is that he took ownership of the Ben Horn fight. I think, of course, everyone expected him to smash Ben Horn. He didn't. It was a really, really tough fight for him, but I love the way that he took ownership of it and said, look, it was great to be exposed to that type of adversity. I had to work through it. Great to have those fights early in my career. And just a really, really respectful fighter. I think he looks like a bit of a loose unit, but a very, very respectful type of fighter.
Yeah, mate. Look, the day both the boys are born, they got nothing but respect. Costa Tszyu ran the household, like Tim says, a bit like an army sergeant, and their lovely mother, Natasha. They're nothing but respect. They're class acts, both the Tszyu boys, class acts. So he acknowledged. I mean, Nikita knows that, mate. As we go back, mate, he fought only as a junior, didn't fight as a senior, so he knows he's still on the learning curve. Yes, Horn proved tougher than what we thought, but it was great for him to have those 6 rounds. As I said, when my boy got offered to fight him now. Don't fight him in 4 or 5 fights time. So Dryden, talk about his power. Jason Medawa, who's just an honest fighter, lovely guy, beautiful guy, he got stopped on his feet. So I don't know about putting people to sleep. He got stopped on his feet. So he's what look. Nikita's going to cream this guy, mate. As I said, they've got to, yeah. So as for you, Nick, whoever told you why Newcastle, tell them Tassie Brown said they don't know shit about boxing. Newcastle is the Tszyu hub. I was there with Costa Tszyu in 98 when he knocked out Calvin Grove. Tim Tszyu has gone back there. Nikita Tszyu, Glenn Jennings is from Newcastle. He's the mayor of Newcastle. Newcastle is a no-brainer. Why not Newcastle? So whoever doubts Newcastle is an idiot.
Nick, do you know much about Dark and Dryden? I think I might have seen him fight once. He looks like he's a battler, but he's going to roll up and at least have a crack, isn't he?
Look, I think he's perfect. I've only seen him fight once. I think he's perfect for this fight for Nikita. I think Tassie would agree. This is a good one to have. It's only how many rounds is this fight? Is it 6?
6, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 rounds. I think this is a good fight. I think he'll come to bang early. And I think Nikita and Igor and obviously the team there at Team Nikita Tszyu will want to show more boxing. Tassie, I saw a little bit of footage yesterday. I just want to see him. I still see a lot of that amateur style in him. Would you agree? The hands down low, stealing points. I'd like to see him really square up, pivot the feet, and really sort of zap in on his shots. That's just my opinion. He's obviously got to get fitter, guys. Hang on, Taz. He's got to get fitter, and he's got to get a little bit leaner, I believe. I think he's a little bit robotic in there. In that last fight I saw in the last couple of rounds, and I did watch it from America, and it was a good show. He got a little bit flat-footed in the last couple of rounds, and he got caught, all right? So I just think in this fight I'd like to see him get a little bit fitter, a little bit leaner, and box more, and I think this is the perfect fight for that again. However, if this Dark and Dryden tries to do what Mason Smith did, I think Nikita will put him away in the first round, Tassie and Lyndon.
Yeah. I think he should try and box more. I saw him leaning in a bit when he was going to the body, and he seemed a bit like very open front cuts and a bit too much weight on the front foot. So I think he needs to relax, box, use his amateur skills, but portray it into the pros. You know what I mean? Just be nice and slick. Don't load up with everything. The power's going to be there, and see Tim keeps a beautiful distance. I think the kid has got to try and do what Tim does. Don't crowd himself. Yeah. Try and keep that nice distance, lead hand, little step back, and I think So
Well, let's have a look at Dark and Dryden, or what he had to say anyway at the press conference the other day.
What have you made of Nikita Tszyu? There's been a lot of hype around him for what he's done so far. What have you thought of what you've seen?
Exactly that. He's got the skills, he's got the speed and that, but when it comes down to it, I think he comes forward like me. I'm going to roll shots and he's going to roll shots, and one of us is going to find the other first. And I'm going to find him.
Who do you think's a bigger puncher? You're 4-0 with 4 stoppages so far. Nikita's shown a lot of power early in his career. Who's the bigger puncher here?
He's got some TKOs and I put him to sleep, so I'm going to find him.
What's it going to be like in that venue, do you think, in Newcastle? Plenty of your fans, I'm sure, will come along.
Like George said, I think you should get your tickets quick. I think it's going to sell out quick. It's going to be packed to the rafters.
And who's the crowd going to be going for? The local boy in Dryden or Nikita Tszyu?
I don't know. I think it's going to be mixed favourites. I'm not sure. It's going to be loud, but...
Tassie, do you think he's almost trying to talk himself into it a little bit there?
Mate, he hasn't been even active in boxing. He fought my friend Jason Matawa on a no-limit show. That was his first fight in a few years. He's not even active, mate. I mean, look, Bo Belbin, I'd fight him with Bo Belbin tomorrow. Like, I was actually hoping to get a call to fight this guy. So, look, I don't care what he talks about, mate. He hasn't, the kid is going to,
Yeah. Well, we'll put up the fight card here anyway. Nick, you can comment on it here. This is the main, 2, 4, 6, sort of 7 fights there I've sort of picked out. So you got, obviously, Nikita and Dark, and 6 rounds over super welterweight. Obviously, Dennis Hogan, Sam Eggington, 12 rounds IBO super welterweight title. Dara Foley, Blake Minto, Sam Goodman, Jason Cooper should be good fights. Paulo Acuso, Faris Chevalier, I think could be almost the fight of the night technically wise. David Light, Vickers Singh. David Light, obviously, big raps on him, and of course Jaden Mitchell with the comeback fight against Mark Lucas at super middle. So it's a good card, sort of looking at, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of other fights. They've got 20 fights on BoxRec at the moment. Obviously, a lot of them will probably fall over or get replaced or whatever. But still, to be so organised so early, it's not bad.
Jay Mitch back at super middle.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Jay Mitch back at super middle. That's awesome.
Yeah, back at super middle, but I question if he's going to make super middle, Tassie.
He definitely looks a couple of kilos more than that at the moment, all I say.
But he comes on down in the weight, Jade, and he's done it a couple of times, as he said on our podcast when we had a podcast a few years ago. Nearly killed himself a couple of times. Good to see him back in the ring. I think that'll be a testing fight. The Sam Goodman fight will be an absolute ripper as well. There will be some other ladies that will be fighting on the other fights that haven't been named yet. So there's a couple of really good ladies fights on that card, especially Chanel Dargan will definitely be on that
Chanel
as well.
Dargan, Ashley Sims is back, Angel Rushton, Amber Amelia, the other ones on there. Yeah.
Amber Amelia, who's from around that area as well, so she'll be fighting on the card. Angel Rushton's actually going to fight on September the 15th and then back it up again on October the 8th, pending that she gets through her fight. So she's going to be quite active as well. And then I think Faris will be very keen to prove a point after he's lost to Connor Wallace. I think you'll see him. I think he'll really rock up, Taz. I think that'll be
man. This other guy backs himself. He's got talking about trying to break Phoenix record. He's got a lot of self-belief. And Faris is good, mate. I mean, I know he lost the last one to Connor Wallace, but I mean, that's a good fight.
It is a tough one, isn't it, Nick? Because I said this on the Talking Boxing show on Monday night that, I mean, of course, he's got all the ability and all the skills in the world, but Faris Chevalier, I mean, up until he lost his last fight, was ranked in the top 15 of all 4 organisations. He's good with his feet, very good defensively. The only knock on him was maybe his work rate's probably not as high as it probably could be. But other than that, this guy's got all the tools. He could bother anyone.
He could. I watched him fight when he fought Blake Caparello, and I know Blake was coming down at a different weight class, and Blake sort of had his day in the sun. I do believe him and LeBrun are going to go around for one more time. But Faris is a very tricky customer. He can make it look very, very awkward. He can make the fight actually look boring while still winning the fight. He's a craftsmanship, and I think that's what he'll try and do to Akuso. However, I think Akuso will come out very hard and fast. I think he'll want to try and bring the fight to Faris. But it's good for Paulo to be in a fight like this against a pretty experienced older guy in Faris, who's been in there with a couple of good fighters. And I think it's a crack. It's the fight I think of the night. Is the one that it's the one that interests me the most. Yeah. For many reasons, and probably the first reason with the styles of both of them. I know that Paulo's going to be trying to land that left hand and get that one through. But Faris's defence, and I was saying this today to shout out to Gareth Williams, his defence sometimes when he's so close to the opponent as well, the way he moves and that I like watching Faris. Some people have said to me, he's not that, he's pretty boring. Like Tassie said last week on the episode here, it's boxing and styles makes fights. And if you know about boxing, sometimes what we're looking for in a fighter is not all these big king hits and that. It's very precision backing, transition fighting. He moves well off the back foot, as Tassie was saying before about Tim Zhu and that as well. So I think that's a cracker. The Hogan one in Eggington, to be honest, I don't know a lot about Eggington, Tassie.
He beats Hogan, bro.
He does. Okay.
Yeah.
A big call, Taz. Why does
I just called it. So I just called it.
Right?
I just called it.
Yeah, I know you just called it. How does he beat him, though?
Probably points or stops him late, but I think he'll beat Hogan.
And that's I don't know Eggington, so I know Dennis pretty well. I've seen Dennis fight live a lot.
A while ago, on the way out, they were talking about Eggington being something really like on the world scene, but he obviously had a few losses. But he was touted coming up. I remember him as something pretty special. But
tickets are on sale at the moment, so get online and grab them while they last. Cause I don't think they're going to last that long. Take it from me, at the Newcastle Entertainment, it's a great venue for boxing and a ripper idea from the Rose Boys. So hopefully they make some coin and everyone has a good day. Let's get on to some more Aussie news. I just wanted to put this one up there quickly before we get into the rest of the stuff. The Australian Boxing Hall of Fame. I had to give this a mention. You can see there the crew from last Friday night. It was really great to catch up with Hussein, who was inducted, along with Sharon Anyos and Gary Sinclair. Just a really great night, as a boxing fan, and obviously part of the boxing fraternity, to catch up with everyone. You see Skinny Hussein there, Susie Ramadan, had a good chat with Jai Opataya. Of course, Bomber Payne and Julian Holland. I mean, the list goes on. It was such a great night. But Tassie, you're good mates with Hussein boys, so it must have been really good for them for Hussey to be inducted.
Yeah, I love Hussey, Skinny, Billy, and Mazza. Look, so happy for Hussey, as you know, Lyndon. What a great amateur he was. He dominated the Australian scene. I first seen him in '92, beat my dear friend Aaron Everett, and it was probably one of the best. It was probably the best thing I've seen. Probably till I saw Bomber later on, but Hussey was a bit of an idol of mine coming through the amateurs, and then after the Olympics, obviously turning pro and being a teammate with him and sparring him and seeing him at Team Phoenix, and then obviously, knowing how great he was as a boxer puncher, great body puncher, and obviously, two good world title, shots. I mean, the first one against the Thai had about 12 defences for the WBC belt in Thailand, and he fell a little bit short that night, but it was a tough fight. And then against Hayashi, the first one was a war. You know, was there for him to win. Probably should have got stopped on cuts. And then obviously the rematch didn't go to plan. But look, you know, he fought the top level guys. I believe a few things differently. Hussey would have won a world title. I believe him and Skinny, if they both would have got the opportunity to fight in Australia like a lot of guys did,
Yeah, I agree.
they would have won. They would have won world titles, mate. It was hard on the
Very good
road, and
point.
like a lot of you guys don't understand. And I don't speak from experience here as a pro, but I mean, fighting on the road, I've been told by a lot of the the real stars in the game, like Skinny and Hussey and the Victor Chinians and Gambosis, all them guys, fighting on the Luke Jackson, fighting on the road's different. Fighting in another country, the time zone,
Everything's
when you
different.
make it, it's a very different thing. So I truly believe if Hussey and Skinny and shots were meant to happen at the time with Team Fennec, and I know a lot of the backstory of things, I won't go into it.
Yeah.
There was times they would have fought for titles in Australia if things would have been done properly. So, like when my brother Billy did one, if Hussey and Skinny would have got the opportunity to fight whoever it was in Australia, they both would have won the world title. But I'm happy for Hussey. What can I say, mate? He's one of the nicest guys in the game, Lyndon. He survived near death last year, where he was in a coma for 6 weeks. And I caught up with Hussey and Skinny on the Sunday, the day after I couldn't go to the Hall of Fame. I had an engagement, but I caught up with the boys, and it's always fun when we get together. Skinny likes to G me up because he knows he can, and Hussey, we just talk boxing. We just talk we just pick each other. Oh, shit, sorry. Hussey told me to stop swearing as much on this show. So apology, Hussey. I'm sorry.
Nick, it's a great. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a great night that you get to go around. I mean, there's about 250 people there. I must admit, of all the people, I did actually get to talk to Jeff Fennick, which was really disappointing considering he's my all-time favourite fighter. But I got to talk to everyone else. But it's just a great night just to be able to get around, say good day, get an autograph, get a picture, whatever it might be. And I really hope that it can sort of build momentum and more fighters and fans can get along to make it as big as it should be.
I was about to say that, and I was thinking the other night, and I live a pretty busy life, and I know we all do, you know what I mean, doing this and doing that. But I'm going to try and make, from a social media point of view, see how we can support that better, and and do some things better there. Because as Tassie was just saying, then just listening in, I don't know a lot about the Hussein boys. I probably know more about Skinny. I think he was an incredible fighter, technically one of Australia's greatest fighters of all time. And a lot of these young kids now that come through and, they hear about the Cambosises and the Zoos and the Zarafas and the Horn and the Mundines before that. But it's good for us to, and even just then, just getting educated on a bit of, with Hussey Hussein and that, a bit around the 80s and the 90s and what these guys actually did. I think it's great. It's intriguing. And I think we need to do more for this, Lyndon. You know what I mean? Maybe next year, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on it, Tassie, your thoughts, and really build it up. And, it wasn't, like, for instance, was it broadcasted anywhere? Like, was it live on the night?
No, it wasn't. And look, I think I went back in 2016 and 17, I think it was. I hadn't been since then, obviously, with COVID and everything else. But I had a good talk to Damien Membry. He's the one in the middle there. And, I think there's a few people that are looking to hopefully get a bit more exposure to it. I mean, I was there. I did a video that's on YouTube at the moment. You can see it's just a bit of a brief thing about.
It was good.
Yeah, catching up with everyone. But to have proper social media channels there, like yourself or Before the Fight, I know they always do it. You guys do it really well, so it'd be really good. And I said to Damien, maybe a bit more focused on some fundraisers during the year. Maybe a lot more effort. And I talked to Julian Holland the day after. Actually, it might have been a couple of days after, about us fighters doing more to get more people along. I'm going to buy a table next year and encourage a lot of people to come. So, I think it's just like everything in boxing. I made a comment on Monday night on my Talking Boxing show that a lot of boxers, we just go our separate ways afterwards. A lot of us might become trainers, but a lot of us don't become involved either at this level or as officials or whatever. So I think there needs to be a little more push to get people back that's been lost from the sport back into it, whether as officials or trainers, or even better, just to come along to the functions, because it was such a highlight just to sit down and talk to Bomber and Jules, and it was just a great night to have a few beers. I didn't drink, but everyone else, I think Jules made up for me anyway. Shout out to Jules. But just have a really good night, and I loved it. And I went to the International Boxing Hall of Fame 3 months ago, whatever, and I actually enjoyed this better because it was people that I know personally, and just on a more personal scale. So if you're a boxing fan or a former boxer out there, looking out for next year because it's such a great night to support the sport. So so get along, Nick. I expect to see you there next year, mate. I'm gonna.
I'll be there. I want it because I think it's a.
And me as well.
All right, done.
Yeah, it's a learning curve too. Don't you agree, Tassie? You learn.
Nick, levels, mate, levels.
It's all about the levels. All right, so when we're going to push it next year, we're going to push it and push it and push it. On to some more Aussie news. I saw this yesterday, I think it was. Paul Gallen, Nick, has threatened to pull out of the No Limit pay-per-view card on September 15 if he hasn't got the terms and conditions. Now, I find it staggering that we're, 2 weeks out from the card or the show. He doesn't know, this is according to him, of course, he doesn't know whether he's fighting them both one after the other. He doesn't know whether he's going to get a gap. He doesn't know whether it's going to be a tag team. Who knows? What do you know about it all?
Yeah, what I know about it is it's boxing, it's hype, and it's entertainment, and we're 15 days out, and it's time to get a bit of cosmopolitan mainstream media behind it.
Yeah.
Good luck to them. You know what I mean? The Sydney Morning Herald and a few peanuts want to report on it. It's great if it's putting more eyes on boxing. Gallen knows the terms. The terms are you'll fight Ben Hane earlier in the night. He'll have an hour and a half break, and then he'll come out and dust Hodges. I think he'll knock them both into next week. It is what it is. And look, it's getting a bit of media. We're supporting it, obviously. And but the fights I'm really supporting on that card is, I think, Harry Garside and Miles Zaluski's going to be an absolute cracker. I cannot wait for that fight. Jack Bowen versus Reynold Quinlan's a good fight, I think.
Look at that one, yeah.
There's a lot of other fights there on the night that I'm really pumped for. But, yeah, Gallen's got a bit to say. And, look, he's done a lot for the sport. Like Tassie was saying before, you know what I mean? He's not – look, it's like people say to us on Fight Hype, Jake Paul and we cover him and that. It's not my type of style. But at the end of the day, they're actually getting in the ring. So – and Gallen has got in the ring. He's got in there with one of the best fighters in the country, Justis Huni, and fucking took him 9.5 rounds. So, he's done a lot for the sport, Gallen, in the last 6 years. And as Tassie was saying yourself before, Tim Tszyu come up on his undercard. And, he's done some great things. I think it's in the final stages now for him. I think this will be his last hurrah, or maybe one more after this.
Yeah.
And then we've got to look at who's going to carry the torch. Well, I'm not saying he's carrying the torch. There's a lot of fighters that are on different levels than him. But as far as that sort of mainstream, Foxtel sort of hoopla, Gallen sort of fits all that with his NRL background.
Yeah, Tassie, you gotta sort of think that maybe there was a bit of nudge, wink, wink going on there, saying, hey boys, we need to get a bit more attention on the event. So let's just come out with something controversial. And it worked because it's all over the news today and lots of people commenting. So they do it well.
That's it, mate. Controversy sells. But yeah, Harry Garside, that's a good fight for him against Miles, and I'll be looking forward to seeing how he goes.
All right, on the weekend, we had a little bit of disappointment. George Payne fell short in the WBC youth title fight in Hamilton, Canada. He lost to Pedro Bernal over 8 rounds, I think it was. 77, 8 rounds, yeah, 77, 73 in all 3 cards. Apparently, as I suppose is always the case, there was talk that he'd been ripped off. I'm not sure how he'd get ripped off 7 rounds to 3, but I didn't see the fight, so I can't comment. But I do know on the undercard,
10-round fight or 8-round fight?
I think it was an 8-round fight. 77, 73, I think, were the 3 cards.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. John Manu had a win on the undercard, which was good, but look, Tassie, great experience for George Payne anyway. It was his first international fight, so regardless of the result, tough Mexican that he fought, so he's only had 8 fights now, so plenty of time for him to sort of get the career moving.
Great opportunity. I mean, you go over to Canada, you know, I believe he would have been the main event.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it's amazing. And look, not many guys get to fight overseas. There'll be a lot of, you know, and to go over there and you take opportunities like that. I mean, he's not obviously a main event fighter, in Australia, but I mean, to go over there and get the opportunity is amazing. I mean, and I think I said last week about Manu. Manu is a good fighter, mate. I think on the show, I think it was. Manu does not surprise me that he won.
At light middleweight, by the way.
Yeah, I know that, but listen, all super lightweights. I want to be careful, Manu, mate. I tell you, I know we've got the super lightweight. I know we've got some good super lightweights at the moment. We've got Liam Perro's probably number 1, or him and Jarvis, whoever wins that. We've got
Foley.
Who?
Dara Foley.
Dara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stevie Spark.
Stevie Spark, yeah.
Spark, yeah. So there's some of the main ones. Mate, Manu's there, mate. He's a good fighter. Probably be ill.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
and Yusuf Dib as well. Dib as well.
Yeah.
My brother.
Well, he beat Jack Dalst, I think his name is. But the fact he's gone over there, fought at junior middleweight, so what's that, 2 divisions above his natural weight, and won against the hometown guy. It was a split decision, I think, but if you win a split decision like that in another person's home country, the odds are he's won 7 out of 8 rounds, I think. So good on John. And as I said, Nick, with George, plenty more opportunities for him to come. He's only a young kid, so...
Well, as you guys said before, you know, when you spoke about the Hussein boys going overseas, for George Payne, the lot of the pros and the cons, a lot of the pros that he'll take out of it with the international experience, being over there, dealing with the WBC and how they do things, and being out of your comfort zone. You blokes have obviously, I don't know, it doesn't matter if you used to fight in Tassie and you fought in different states, you know what I mean? You get out of your comfort zone, you see things different as an athlete and a sportsman and as a sportsman. So George Payne will take a lot out of that. He's only still early in his career, and you never know. You might see a more ferocious George Payne in the next couple of fights. Yeah,
well, he's there. You can see that picture there is with his trainer, Brian Butler, who's one of the best in the business, and he's been there lots of times before, of course, with the Maloney boys especially. So I'm sure he'll get back on the horse pretty quick, and it'll serve him well in the future. Nick, while I've got you, mate, I want you to comment on this one because I've stolen this off your page. Lucas Brown and Gerald Miller agreed upon for November 26th in London. This is your story. Fill us in.
Well, actually, it wasn't. Our guy that does a lot of digital stuff through the night, I won't name who he is, but he grabbed this and he's obviously done a bit of a cut up to it. But we were the first people in Australia to report on this. I think I woke at 8 o'clock in the morning and checked the socials, and Noonan Boy had already posted at 6:37 a.m. So shout out to that. Desi he's like Al Heyman, Des. He floats through the night and he gets it out there, Tassie, and there's levels to it.
Gets the job done.
Look, it's a funny fight, this. It's levels. We're the first to break it. Gerald Miller, he's been in a lot of trouble the last couple of years. He's as dirty as my golf clubs in my garage downstairs, and we all know that. Lucas is a funny one. I like Lucas. People can say what they want about Lucas. He's our only heavyweight champion in the last long, long time. World champion, WBA. Look, I don't know what happened against Lucas and Gal. It looked a bit wishy-washy to me. However, his last 2 fights against Django and Junior Farr, I was ringside. I was right on the curb, actually, Lyndon, when he fought. And Tassie, you were there when he fought Junior Farr. Fuck me dead. Yeah. Excuse my language. I don't like swearing on media, but Lucas, he rocked up, bit the mouth guard down, did the timing, and he was really zoned in. A lot of people could say, Gerald Miller should win this fight. I don't know. I think Lucas Brown will put him to sleep. I can't wait for this fight, to be honest. You know, I think Lucas can really do a good thing for world boxing. And look, I know people that are who are equated to Gerald Miller. Alvina Alston's a good friend of mine from New York, and they all manage him in that. But, mate, he's dirty. You know what I mean? He's been done. How many times has he been done for doping, Taz? You know what I mean? Do we need this in the sport? Well, people can say Lucas is not as clean as you think he is either. But anyway, it's a good fight. It's a good fight, this one.
Yeah, Tassie, we've talked on this show a few times about the Lucas Brown, Paul Gallen thing. We'll put that to bed now. We've done it enough. But the fact he's come back in his last 2 fights, got the job done, and now he's taking on a fight like this on a big card in England. You've got to take your hat off to him that at least he's back in the mix anyway.
If anyone speaks to Lucas Brown for 5 minutes, he is a gentleman of a guy. Lucas Brown is a beautiful... Lucas Brown is a lovely guy. I've met him a few times. He is a really nice guy. He actually doesn't... He doesn't fit the big persona because he's a really lovely guy. And when he switched on, a guy has serious power. And like we just seen, I mean, that was an upset against Farr, obviously. Mate, he's always a puncher's chance. And I like to see him keep biting down on the mouth guard and letting those hard shots go and give 100%, for the rest of his career, because he in the heavyweight division, or in boxing in general, but especially with the big boys, you're only one punch away from disaster. But look, Lucas Brown is actually a really nice guy.
Okay. All right, well, so we'll keep an eye on that anyway. Hopefully it all gets signed, sealed and delivered for November 26th in London, and another big opportunity for Lucas. Talking about big opportunities, Nick, this man, Stevie Spark, has got his moment. November 11th in Cleveland, Ohio. He's up against Montana Love. Big fight for Steve.
Stevie Spark signing over to Matchroom Boxing, November the 12th, fighting I was just up there. He's fighting the Ohio boy in Ohio. Everything is going to be in Montana Love's favour. However, there's a boy from Toowoomba that has been in the ring with Tim Tszyu and has landed shots, Tassie. He did. He landed shots.
He did.
He was a 140-pounder going up against a guy that was 154. We know that was a complete mismatch, but let's be honest. He got in there. He had to go against Tim. He's had a couple of good fights coming back, obviously, with River Daz and some other fights. This is going to be a really, really good fight. I don't know who's actually headlining the show. We haven't had an email about it yet. There's a bit going on there. I don't know if they're going to add another fight to that main event there on November the 12th in Ohio. But big opportunity for Stephen Sparks to really put his name on the world in boxing. In the world in boxing, and to upset the hometown hero. And he's got heavy hands, Spark. But he's going to need them, and he's going to have to really box very, very well. He's going to have to start very, very well. He's going to have to make it awkward. And I think, Tassie, he's got to not leave it to the judges' hands. He's got to try and knock this guy out. I know Brendan Smith and that'll have a very good plan there, who's done it many times with the great Michael Katsides over there. For those who don't know, Michael Katsides went over there and mixed it with the best. So there's no stone unturned there with what's got to be done.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for him, isn't it, Tassie? And you've got to take your hat off, like we said before, with, when you get out of your comfort zone and leave Australia. I mean, you go over there, Cleveland, the guy's hometown, to chase his dreams, you've got to give him full respect.
Yeah, look, he's got a very tough fight ahead of him. Love is a very good fighter. So credit to Stephen, I'll be rooting for him, but it's going to be very tough, a very tough fight, mate. And I'm sure he'll give it everything he's got. But Love is definitely no joke. So, look, I wish Stevie and Brendan Smith, who's a great guy too. Yep. Brendan Smith, all the best, and fly the flag for Australia. And, it's a tough one, but a good one.
Yeah, add it to the packed schedule of Aussies in big fights over the next few months. It's great. So, speaking of a potential big fight, Nick, this is the one that's struck my attention. Justis Huni and Mairis Briedis in talks for a fight in Brisbane on October 29. This one's come out of nowhere, hasn't it?
Hang on, who we got here, Taz?
My beautiful stepdaughter. I love her. She's my little baby.
How do you...
She should be in bed, Tazzy. It's school tomorrow. Get in bed.
Nah, she's naughty.
I'm joking. This one I questioned. I rang Dean Lonergan about this straight away, and I questioned him, and I took him to town a bit on, and I said, "What is the angle here?" And I said, is this a bit disrespectful to Jai? I had a look at it from is this like a Breedus sort of cashing in on the Dean Lonigan checkbook late in his career? And, I don't know. I think it's a good fight for Justice. But at the same time, I just don't know how it sells. And I'm keen to hear the guys from DNL how they're going to try and sell this, because I would probably be looking more for Breedus to go and have another fight somewhere and then try and do the rematch with Jai. But as we know, as a mandatory, well, there was no rematch clause in the Jai Opetaia thing. I know he wants that back.
Yep.
What's Breedis' angle? Is Breedis' angle that he's going up against a heavyweight and he's going to try and knock the heavyweight stablemate out, and then say to Dean Lonigan, Jai, I want the rematch. I don't. Tassie
doesn't make a lot of sense, does it, Tassie?
The angle?
It doesn't make a lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense, Tassie, because you would think if anything, Breedus would be after the rematch with Opetaia, and maybe there's the call for the rematch. It's such a great fight, but this, I'm with Nick. I just don't see the angle to it.
If he fights Huni flogs him, and it takes a shine off Opetaia's win.
Yeah.
Huni flogs him. And who's Huni? If Huni is the heavyweight you're all talking about, I don't know. Well, I don't know. He's a good fighter, but I think he's overrated in my opinion. So I'm sorry to call it straight. If he wants to fight a fucking cruiserweight, if Huni's the man, like they say he is, he's moving quite quickly. He just beat old mate. Why is he fighting a cruiserweight for? So shouldn't Huni be fighting a Shouldn't he be fighting a one of them English? Shouldn't he be fighting a Derek Chisora or someone?
Yeah, it's alright.
So much about him. I really do think he's overrated. Sorry.
Well, we'll see. But Nick, I mean, Dean, you know Dean really well, like I do. He does seem to look. He's always, there's a method to his madness, always. With Dean, and I'm sure he's got his reasons, but I'm with you guys. I don't see on face value the purpose of this fight, but obviously Dean knows better than what we do.
Yeah, Dean's obviously got to go to market plan there and a strategic plan. He's a smart guy, but
he is. He's one of the best. One of the best.
He's a smart guy, but the thing is, one thing he did say to me, he said, Noonan, he goes, remember Breedus came down here. Now more people know him. Yep, they do. But they know that our boy was the warrior that beat him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm more pumped up for Jai's next fight away from Breedus.
Yeah.
Like Tassie said, take the shine off that. Go Jai. And I'd like to see Justice in with an English fighter or a seasoned veteran USA guy. Like, shout out to Angelo DiCarlo and Dempsey McKean when they brought Jonathan Rice out. Remember when they brought Jonathan Rice out when Dempsey fought him? And a lot of people thought, Dempsey's going to find out, what it's all about. Well, yeah, he did. It was a close, tough fight, and he knocked him out late in the fight. This here is a bit of a, one guy's, they're both going to, there's going to be no weight limit. One guy's going to come in a lot more heavier. And Justice is no slouch. Justice is one of our best talents,
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I think if he does beat him easy, it takes a bit of the gloss off Jai's win, but we'll see what happens there. I'll tell you one fight we're all looking forward to, though. We obviously touched on it last week. It's still progressing. It's the Ebony Bridges Shannon O'Connell update. Now, Tassie, I'm going to show you. I'm not sure you saw it on social media earlier. Ozboxing put it up. I couldn't help but laugh. I had to put it on the show. This is what Ebony had to say about Shannon. I can't wait to shut this annoying see you next Tuesday up, to be honest. # shitgun. Because where we're at the moment, is, of course, purse bids are coming up. We should know in a couple of weeks exactly where the fight is, who's won it, what they're getting paid, all the rest of it. But look, it's the flames are getting fanned, I suppose, and just when this fight actually does take place, there's going to be some fireworks.
It's going to be huge. I'm glad that the IBF rejected the voluntary defence. As you, the IBF are the best, as we know. Noonan, they strip anyone. They're the leading body. They don't do silver titles, gold titles, championship numerals or whatever it is. Look, this is good. Look, both of these fighters have got no like for each other. They've got they're both a bit rough around the edges. And mate, look, it's going to be great, and let's hope that it happens in Australia. I really don't hope it doesn't go to England, even if Matchroom gets it. You think he put it on in Australia. But yeah, look, it's good to see that the Australian fans hopefully are going to get this great fight.
Nick, do you think, I know we've all got our sides and all got our opinions and everything else, but in your opinion, do you think, and I've been vocal about this in the past, do you think that sort of language or whatever you want to call it is really going to endear her to the Aussie fans? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that aren't fans of Shannon either, but this is not doing her any favours by carrying on like this. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Shannon can win a lot of fans over.
Yeah. And I think you've seen on social media that has been the case. A lot of support for Shannon because of that.
Shannon's been around a long time. She's a seasoned veteran. She was in there with a woman called Sandy Tissaragas in 2014, who was an absolute effing killer.
Yep.
This stuff and all this social media, TikTok, we're going to post a Twitter out to 50,000 Englishmen with guts as fat as mine, eating pies and drinking piss that want to buy socks and jogs. Shannon don't care about that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Ebony, to be honest, I don't think Ebony, and I'm looking forward to seeing Ebony and saying this face to face, that you don't really care about the Australian public.
Nah.
Because look, listen, she added the Leeds logo to an Australian flag, Tassie.
Yeah,
we must remember that, right? Because I'm not a big opinion. I don't like the Australian flag, but it represents our great country, so therefore we support it.
Yeah, well, if anyone like it, they can get the fuck out of Australia, in my opinion.
That's right, I know. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Ebony has wanted to mark herself in England. Ebony, don't come back here and think that you're going to be like, I'm an Australian girl for this promotion. No, you're not. You're the Australian girl that your go-to market is the English fans, and good luck to you. You've done it that way. But the Queenslander, or the South Australian Queenslander, is going to be really up for it and very zoned in. As you know, Linda, you spoke to Shannon today.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a text with her today about some stuff. She's just got to stay patient, like some other fighters in Australia. Stay patient. The clock will start ticking, and then it starts talking. As Tassie just said, the IBF, shout out to the crew there. They're going to be very, very vigilant on how they do this. They've already put some plans in place. They don't budge. They don't have any favourites. This fight will happen in Australia.
Yeah, I'm with you, right.
Happen here.
Yeah, I spoke to her as well, and I was the same sort of thing, mate. Patience. And I'm sure once it's done, we'll know in a couple of weeks exactly what's going on and who's won it and where it's going and what everyone's getting paid. So at least it'll be done. So in 2 weeks' time, we should know. The funny thing is, I will say before we move on, Nick, is that even though if it's in 2 weeks' time that we're going to know, this fight was supposed to have taken place in late September. So obviously that's not going to happen.
Correct.
So
no, it's not. And the thing is, I don't know what Shannon told you today, but when I spoke with Gareth, there is a time frame there that the fight has to happen within 90 days.
90 days, yeah.
So I would say, and I think this is good, and I haven't spoken to Matt Rose about it, but and I'm keen to ask Matt his thoughts next week when I have a talk with Matt Rose about it, where I think this fits in perfect for November. It fits in perfect for these girls to have their own show.
Yeah,
it fits in perfect, whether it's going to be purse bid. I know Matt's going to go in hard. No Limit, George Rose, they're going to go in very, very hard. Eddie's going to go in hard. We'll see who goes in any harder with these purse bids. Have it here in Australia and let the girls have their own show. And it's not only great for women's boxing, but I think it'll be good for Australian boxing. I don't think Ebony wants this fight, though. And I see when she starts speaking like that with the language, she was doing that before the Shannon Courtney fight. So, but shout out to her. She's a good fighter. She's done well in the sport, and she's about to find out about levels.
100%. All right, well, let's just move on, guys. Tassie, we've got 2 shows this weekend. Friday night, Dragonfire, Metro City in Perth. Of course, Tony Tolge, Angelo Hyder put on great shows there. The main event, Sarah Higginson and Sharima Salvador. I'm not quite sure, but there's a big card there, so if you're down there. But as always, mate, Tassie, Tony and Angelo doing great things. They pretty much own the Western Australian market, so good to see them with another show.
Yeah, I spoke to Tony Tolles the other day in regards to some matches for my show, and he mentioned that he's got his show coming up. So, mate, look, they've got the WA market just like I have the Tasmanian market pretty much. So, yeah, mate, Tony and Angelo do some great things, and they put on some good shows.
And Nick, we've got your man, Angelo DiCarlo, the Ace Boxing Group. They've got a big show this week. You can see there Abdullah Mayweather, Ali Elrich, Ty Narkle, Rocky Ogden, Rebecca Hawker, of course. Beck Hawker with the world title fight against Holly Toll. And Vegas Larfield, who got big raps on this guy against Sanadi Gamboa. So it should be a ripper card. And I think you said it's on TV as well.
Tune in, Fox Sports, BN Sports, 513, live from 6 o'clock from Eaton's Hill in Brisbane. So that's BN Sports 513. Ace Boxing presents Hawker versus Tao. That's going to be an absolute cracker. Shout out to Rocky Ogden. He's in a very good fight as well at featherweight. For those who don't know, Rocky's an ex-Muay Thai fighter. That's a cracking fight. Vegas Larfield, who I love to watch fight. He sort of he's got a little bit of that Costa Zoo in him, Tassie, the way he looks. He's developing that power. He's a good little kid coming up and a great attribute to our sport. And then you've got Abdul Sacco, formerly known as Abdul Mayweather, I've been told. So there's 4 cracking fights there. There's a heavyweight fight there with Stephen Avix. It's a really good card, and it's great to see it on Fox Sports, on BN Sports 513 and KO. And Oz Boxing Central, Noonan Boys, shout out to Combat Analytics and Ace Boxing. We'll be doing a lot of things different tomorrow at the weigh-in. And we're going to do a weigh-in tomorrow at 12 o'clock. And then we'll do a press conference straight after. And then Saturday night, obviously, we'll be doing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff through all the digital platforms. Just a little bit different than the way we've done it at the Ace Boxing shows before. But it'll be good.
All right, can't wait. All right, so, 513 on Saturday night, wasn't it? So tune in and watch it top 3 if you've got Foxtel. So, and like you said, shout out to Angelo DiCarlo and the guys doing a great job with putting boxing on TV at their own expense, which is even better, so getting right behind it. So
that's right.
So tune in. All right, on to some world news. That's a big night of Aussie boxing there, but let's get on to the world scene and the big news.
Levels.
Sorry?
Levels, as Tassie
Yeah, levels.
said.
Tassie, the big news this week was Tyson Fury has decided to keep his WBC heavyweight title. He had until August 26th to make up his mind. He's decided to keep it, and there's just talk at this stage, Fury Usyk in February 2023. However, he wants his $500 million. What do you think?
Well, the Arabs spend the big money over there in Abu Dhabi and that. So, mate, if you can get it, why not? I mean, they're looking to have fights in Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, all these Dubai. The Arabs have got a lot of oil money, and they always say how much money they've got. So we'll see if they can pay for the Gypsy King.
Nick, do you think that? Answer my own question. Of course, he always does it. But with Tyson Fury, has he just got that carrot out there? What is he actually serious about some of the stuff he says? Does he really want $500 million to fight this guy?
No, he's saying it, but he knows that it's not there's no revenue that could ever pay that back. He won't ever get close to $500 million. He might get close to $100 million though. I know a couple of my mates, shout out to Mark Leishman, who's from down your way, boys, Warrnambool. He's just signed to the Live Golf Tour, which is backed in by the Saudis. Mark's gone over for about $85 million. Cameron Smith, who's just from up the road here at Wantima, he used to play here 10 years ago, Cameron Smith, for no money. Now he's just signed a contract for $140 million, Tassie.
To play golf.
$140 million. He's going to play on the Live Golf Tour. Mark signed for 80. These guys aren't getting punched in the face. But that just shows you the amount of money that the Middle Eastern groups are putting into the sport. You'll see a lot of the big heavyweight fights will happen in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai. That's where the money is for those big fights. But yeah, answering your question, mate. No, he won't get 500 million. It's definitely a 70-30 split in my belief. In saying that, as I think Tassie said it last week, the fight was Fury versus Joshua. Now, that's not going to happen. The hardcore boxing fans like us, former fighters like yourself, they want to see Fury versus Usyk, but what does the world want to see? Now, I think if you threw it to the world, Anthony Joshua, mate, he could fly into bloody Nigeria, Ghana, Somalia. They know who he is. Usyk, no one knows him. I'm not like in the mainstream cosmopolitan world. The heavyweight fight is either Fury and Wilder, which we saw, and he demolished it, and it's Fury versus Joshua. Well, Tyson, you tell me, where are you going to get 500 million? You give Tyson 500 million and you give Usyk 50. Tell me where you're going to get the 550 million back in. Like, come on, Floyd. Floyd never got it.
Yeah.
Floyd's the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We'll see what happens there. But look, at least he's kept his title, which obviously shows the fight's going to happen. It's just a matter of working out a particular. So fingers crossed with that one. Tassie, this weekend we've got Andy Ruiz, Luis Ortiz. Thoughts on it? Who wins and why?
I think Ruiz wins it. He's a quicker heavyweight. Ortiz can punch, but he's fairly old, and he's had a couple of big knockout losses to Deontay Wilder. I know he's obviously been fighting since then. I think Ruiz, seeing as he's got a decent chin, I think Ruiz should be too quick in a solid matchup and probably win on points.
What about you, Nick?
I'd go with, I spoke to Ray Flores today from PBC. Ruiz looks very, very fit.
He does.
I saw the open media workout this morning on Fight Hype when we're cutting a little bit of digital of it. Look, King Kong, as Tassie just said then, how old is he really? I think he's a bit past it. Ruiz looks very, very sharp, very, very zoned in. I think when we spoke about that fight before, I think Ruiz is keen to probably make an impact on this and either go for the Deontay Wilder fight, or he might go a different route and want to fight someone like an Usyk and step his game up. But I think Ruiz will handle him. And the fight I like on this card is Caleb Plant versus Anthony Durrell on the co-main. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Caleb Plant bounces back after he's lost to Canelo Alvarez. And very keen to see where Anthony Durrell is, the old dog. So it should be a good afternoon of boxing on... it's actually... I think this is actually Sunday night. So this is actually, for the Australian people, this is 12:30, 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon.
See, that's not news, isn't it? All right, we'll keep a lookout for that. All right, another fight that was announced this week. Dmitry Bivol, Gilberto, Ramirez, November 5. Tassie, you mentioned about the money in the Middle East. Well, here's another one.
Yeah, Tassie, go for it.
This is a big fight, mate.
This level.
We all know what Bivol is, and after the win over Canelo, we've heard about Ramirez for a while. Is he as good as they say? Now, if Ramirez wins this, I heard Canelo's already said he doesn't want to fight another Mexican. So I love Canelo, but I think that's more worried about being beaten by a Mexican for his legacy. If Bivol wins, they talk about the rematch. So this is a wicked fight, mate. Both undefeated. He's a big guy, Ramirez. He carries his weight very well.
He looks big too.
This is just a really good fight. This is a really, really good fight.
What do you reckon, Nick? Good fight. Who wins at this stage, do you think?
I think Bivol will beat him. But I think it will be a very high-paced, fast, transitioning, zapping fight early. And then I think Bivol will start to wear him down. I kind of agree with Tassie. We've seen a lot of Bivol. Well, the world really got to see him against Canelo. Ramirez, Zerto, I have seen a little bit of him. I haven't seen him fight live, but I have seen a little bit of him. I just don't think he's at that level, but he's another one that's been saying for many years that he wants all these big fights. Well, now he's freaking got one, and I think the fact that it's over in Abu Dhabi is a very big favour to Bivol. Ramirez coming away from California and obviously coming over to the United Arab Emirates. So I think Bivol will beat him, and then you've got to start to have a look at that other option there with Canelo and Triple G, how that Bivol and Canelo thing goes again for early next year at 168, not 175.
Do you think this is this fight will sell in Abu Dhabi? I know there's the TV and all that sort of stuff. Are they actually going to get a crowd there?
Well, this is the hard thing. With Ramirez, he's a Mexican, but he's sort of based in California, trains out of the Brick House up there in California, where Bivol, they brought him over last time. And this is not knocking Matchroom Boxing and DAZN, but this is one thing where I stick up for Al Heyman and PBC and Top Rank. You don't ever really know the real numbers from DAZN and Matchroom about really how many eyeballs were on that. And really, Canelo carried that show. So, if we're going to have it in America, do a lot of the Americans really, really watch it? Well, maybe for Ramirez. If you put it over there in the Middle East and probably have it more on a Serbian, Croatian, Russian sort of time zone, will more people come in from that angle? And the other thing is, like we said before, with the dangling of the carrot of the $500 million for Tyson Fury, and have the people of Abu Dhabi really thrown massive big money at Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and DAZN to do it there, and both these guys are going to make more money offshore than they would back in America. Well, that's probably the case why it's there.
Yeah. Oh, well, it remains to be seen. Just a couple more things before we wrap it up, guys. Tassie, Naoya, Inoue, Paul Butler, December 13, Japan. Finally, undisputed title fight. Should be great.
Yeah, mate. Like I said the other week, Inoue, don't know how good he's going to finish up being. He's obviously pound for pound top 4 for me, top 3. Could be it'll definitely be a Hall of Fame. It could be a top 10 pound for pound of all time. He is a machine, and I'll back him to beat Butler. And as I said, mate, I'm interested to see how far Inoue can go in this game.
Nick, do you give Butler any chance?
No.
No.
This Inoue, as Tassie just said, this Inoue is one that I think Tassie in about 15 years, we're going to say we were around when Inoue was just demolishing everyone. This Inoue, fuck your pound for pound list, Tassie, no offence. Like, they talk about it, they leave certain people out and what's the name. I don't care about it. Inoue's in my top 3 fighters in the world. He's a marvel. He's great for the sport. He's from Japan. He's very, very different. Doesn't talk a lot. But he's an incredible boxer. He can brawl. He can move. His fights with Donito Donaire were absolutely amazing. No, I don't give Butler a chance. And I think Inoue will actually just wait for it, time him, and I think he'll knock him out cold.
Yeah, and what I love about him, he can knock you out with either hand with one shot. Just an amazing fighter. So, and I think, well, sort of the good news about this one, apparently if Butler wins, as strange as that might be, apparently Jason Maloney will be first up to the plate, and if Inoue wins, apparently he's going to go up in weight to chase more belts. So either way, Jason should be in line for a world title very soon, hopefully. So
yeah, it could be a vacant world title.
Yeah, I'm sure Nick Fight Hype will be right across it. So stay tuned.
Levels.
All right, last thing, guys, before I let you get away. This I saw today as well. Now, Anthony Joshua. Now, Eddie Hearn has revealed that he wants a world tour for Anthony Joshua. Now, the countries he mentioned were, well, the cities, London, Beijing, in the Middle East, the USA, and Australia. So I'm assuming that that's going to mean maybe a fight with Dempsey McKean.
Mate, I reckon put him in with Justis Huni.
Wow, how good would that be?
He wants to get in there with a. He's been in with a southpaw boxer. Get him in with an orthodox boxer. Look, Justice is probably not ready for that level yet, but he's well and truly on his way. Joshua versus Dempsey McKean down in Australia. Yeah, that's a good fight. It's a big fight. I'd probably like to see Dempsey fight someone like a Joseph Parker, a trans-Tasman clash first. But yeah, Hearn did say that to the media. He's obviously got a plan for Joshua to get back on the road, and I have been told they're going to try and fight Joshua early December, and then obviously try and fight him 3 times next year. So that'll come down to Hearn meeting with the governments, I would suggest, Tassie, and working out where they can get the most money in certain cities and countries, and bringing Joshua, because he's a global icon in boxing. This is another thing where, as we see right there, when you start to open this, and sometimes this new world when the cameras are out, I don't know if he's as liked as well as he used to be after that rant wasn't great, I thought.
No, it wasn't. And Eddie Hearn actually said that the meltdown would be good for Joshua just to get it off his chest. But to talk about fighting 4 times in the next 12 months, it's a fair old call considering he's barely fought once a year in the last 3 years.
No, but if he does do it, I'm a fan of it, because fighters do need to be active. Like the great Muhammad Ali went on a world tour, and it's good to be active and fight lesser fighters. Like, every fight doesn't have to be a super fight. Like, they can talk about Joe Lewis, the bum of the month club, but, I mean, look, listen, no, every fight doesn't have to be a massive fight. I mean, it's only the TV networks now. Well, okay, whatever. Fight regularly. And, like, just go back to the days Chavez fighting non-title fights or someone, you know what I mean? Like, just fight.
Chavez was fighting non-title fights in front of 54,000 people.
That's right.
Yeah, look, I agree, guys. I agree what you said there, Tassie. I think Canelo sort of got hit with the same thing as well, that they're fighting often, but they're expected to fight these big fights one after the other. And Canelo actually got criticised because he fought a big fight. And
Floyd's fault.
Yeah, Floyd, yeah. But Canelo was getting criticised because he would fight a big fight and then he'd have a couple of quick fights after against lesser lights, and he'd go again. He actually got... Sorry?
It's got to be a Super Bowl every time.
Yeah, exactly. And these guys just can't do it. It's a massive training camp, massive commitment. It's impossible. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully it is the case. But guys, look, that's been a big one for tonight. We haven't got time for talking points and all the rest of it. We've had a lot on. But Nick, mate, great to have you along again. I want you to be a regular on here if we can. I know you're a busy man, but we want you on here as often as we can. And it'd be great to have you on as often as possible. I'm going to hit you up every week and see how we go. And Tassie, mate, always great to have you on, mate. You look like you've had a big day, so I'll let you get some rest.
Where are you, Peter? Peter, I'm coming. Where are you, Peter?
All good. Of course, Nick, Fight Hype online, Australian Boxing Central online as well, and of course, Noonan Boy Promotions. You've got your fingers in a lot of pies.
Fight HQ, evatac.com, Forever Tactical. It's all happening in the world of boxing. But shout out to all the channels out there in Australia that cover it on a domestic scene, international scene, including yourself, Boxing Deep Dive straight into it. All the best. It's been great. Good stuff, guys. All right, well, thanks very much for coming on. We'll see you next week. And keep out for all the latest news, and we'll cover it next week.
See you, boys.
See you guys.